oil checkers, and welcome to the oil check. This is the Rona special number 8. And this is specifically to look forward to Fight Island and UFC 251, Usman versus Burns. And as you can see, once again, my usual compadre Joe Pennick is not actually with me on Skype today. So we've sent out the distress flare, and the person that answered it was the one and only Bellator signed fighter from the UK, Mr. Charlie 917 Leary. So, first things first, Charlie, very quickly, how you doing, mate?
Well, I'm doing well, thank you. Yes, yeah, very well. Good to speak to you.
Okay, good stuff. Well, look, just before we get tucked straight into it, I've got to mention, as always, our sponsor for the oil check is Fight Central, and their website is www.fight-central.co.uk, and that'll all be coming up along the bottom of the screen. And if you go onto that website, fight-central.co.uk, and you type in the discount code the oil check at the checkout, you will receive a 10% discount off the entire site. And we got some good feedback from Fight Central yesterday, so if all of our viewers could have a click on the website, click in the discount code, keep supporting Fight Central and keep supporting the podcast. And as always, you can contact the oil check by telephone or text on 07510 954 793. You can email us on theoilcheck@hotmail.com, and you can contact us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the oil check. So that's social media at the oil check. Okay, so that's all the boring stuff done then, mate. So you were saying you were training this morning. So how has the dreaded lockdown been treating you?
Mate, it's been a tough one. It's been a real tough one, to be honest. Mainly because we got locked down and I was expecting to have a couple of weeks of relaxing and get back into it. But my missus was heavily pregnant. So we pretty much isolated just because we was told that's what we should do. So we was isolated for a couple of weeks. But when we first went in, we'd isolated, and I was still preparing to fight in May for Bellator. I was told there's every chance it's still going ahead, keep training. So I was trying to go out and run once a day and not see anyone and all sorts and get ready for a fight. So it was a bit stressful until we got the phone call and said, look, it's off. And then things calmed down a little bit, obviously, until the baby was born. And then that was a pain in the arse as well, because I had to sit in the car park at the hospital for about 7 hours, because you're not allowed in until, or I wasn't allowed in until she was in labour, sort of thing. Luckily, she was having a section. But until she was taken down for the operation, I wasn't allowed in the hospital. So I had to be there ready to go as soon as they said, go straight in. So I sat in the car for over 7 hours waiting around. But
yeah, did you have a book with you?
Pardon?
Did you have a book with you or something?
Luckily, I charged up my iPad and downloaded a load of stuff on Netflix and things like that, and watched loads of different series, Vikings and all sorts I was watching. But yeah, it was a bit of a stressful time. Then obviously, baby was born all healthy and everything, missus all healthy, which was great news. But it was horrible because no one was allowed to see her. Do you know what I mean? Like, new little baby, and it was all done over a video call and stuff. So it was a bit strange. I then missed a couple of weeks when everyone started getting back to training because the pros could go back. Dave, my head coach, has been real strict on it and has been up to date and checking what you're allowed to do, when you're allowed to do it and all that, because trying to get back. So as soon as the pros were allowed to go back, he'd gone on and done the COVID testing thing and done his course and everything, so he knew he could get straight back. And then I had a couple of weeks where I'd missed the first 2 weeks, looking after the little and making sure everything was all right with the missus, because having a section, she weren't allowed to drive or can't get up for a while and stuff like that. So, yeah, so I spent a few weeks doing that, getting really fat and getting the dad bod into force, yeah. But yeah, since then it's all been going well. Obviously, the restrictions are starting to get a little bit easier, aren't they? So my mum's on her own. We've been able to go around and make a bubble with her so she can help out and stuff like that. And I've been getting back to training a bit, doing as much as I can. So it's enjoyable being able to punch people.
How old's the baby now then? When was the baby born?
She is now. She was 9 weeks yesterday. I think it was 9 weeks.
So basically, so your missus had, so you and your missus had 2 months all on your own, basically, with no outside help.
Yeah, and a 5-year-old. Well, he's just turned 5 as well. So I had a 4-year-old son who we were trying to do the schooling for, and a pregnant miss or a newborn baby. So it was, yeah, it's stuck in a flat with no garden or anything. It was a bit of a ball ache. But like I say, we're quite lucky. I mean, I'm not going to complain. I've got a healthy family and a life that I can't complain about. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily I live in a flat as well, but I've got my flat's got like quite big gardens out the back. And my son, he's 16, he's nearly 17 now, so it's just fucking trying to get him out his bedroom, mate. He's such a fucking hermit, you know what I mean? He turned like he'll be here later. He'll turn up later on like that. And he'll literally walk in the front door, walk into his bedroom, shut the door, turn his PlayStation on, and then he'll come out like later on and go, "I want something to eat." And that's it. You know what I mean? So he's not the most entertaining young man in the world these days.
No, that's it. I'm quite lucky that being only 5, he's not. I mean, he likes his tablet and stuff like that, but he's more into like actually playing and stuff like that. So it's not been too bad. It's keeping me busy, but like I said, we're in the 5th floor of like a high-rise flat, so we've got a balcony that's about 10 foot. And that's it. So for a while we was getting out for 1 walk a day that we was allowed, and that was it. So I weren't even bouncing off the walls. But like I say, now the restrictions have gone down a little bit. We're getting out. He's learning to ride his bike and all sorts. So it's all good. It's all good.
Excellent. So look, I was having a quick look through your Sherdog record earlier. So question number 1, your fight nickname is 917. Now, I'm sure you've been asked this a bazillion times before, but I don't know the answer, and I've known you for quite some time. Where's the 917 come from?
Well, it's a bit of a long story. Well, we used one of our training partners, a guy actually cornered me, Daniel Thomas. It was his stag do, and him and I think 2 of his mates, we were all having like a joint stag do in Magaluf, and there was about 40 plus of us over in Magaluf, and a lot of us were fighters. And do you know Sparks and Kai? Done flyby and stuff, garage MCs.
I don't know. It's not my bag, unfortunately.
They were big, and one of them was him. So there was a lot of people out there. A lot of people knew us. We were in these bars, and everywhere in Magaluf had these punch machines, and everyone was going on it, trying to hit these things. And yeah, in the end, I joined in, and and ended up hitting 917, which was the hardest on the whole machine and the whole island or whatever it was, and everyone was stuck from there. So everyone was like, "Oh my god, you got the hardest punch in Magaluf," and everyone was going crazy, and it just stuck. I mean, I've had a lot of nicknames. A lot of people called me a lot of things over the time, but that one seemed to stick, and it just stayed with me.
Well, look, hey, it's good to have a story. You know, it's the fucking, you know, mostly when kids start out and that, and they're calling themselves fucking Destroyer and Bone Crusher and they've got like one loss at amateur. You know what I mean? Like that. You're like, where the fuck did that come from? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
At least it's a little bit different there. So, so you are currently signed to Bellator, but you have also fought for a lot of organisations. Brave, UCMMA, Kayo MMA, UWC, Cagewarriors, BAMMA. You know, the who's who of UK MMA there. So, how are you finding Bellator compares to the domestic scene?
Mate, it's worlds apart almost. It's really, I mean, since signing with them, I've been able to go full time. I've been able to actually make a living out of it, out of fighting and stuff like that. So it's been a big difference. I can't complain. I feel really looked after. Bellator do everything they can to make us happy and give us a living out of it. Do you know what I mean? Not that I'm knocking anyone on the UK scene, because like you say, I fought for pretty much every show around, and I haven't really had a bad situation. I haven't met anyone who I've gone, I don't really want to fight for them again. There's been some ups and downs, obviously, but the pay's just not there. Do you know what I mean? The money and stuff's just not there with the smaller shows. So to be able to actually make a living out of it, you've got to get signed to one of these bigger shows. And like I say, Bellator have come in, and I can't complain at all, mate. I'm loving my life, so it's all good.
Fantastic. I mean, fucking hell, it was just news recently that I can't remember his name now. The guy, there's a welterweight who's ranked number 11 in the UFC, has just gone back to work as a waiter.
Yeah.
Like in a restaurant, you know what I mean? And it's just, you know, that shows like the lack of money that's involved in the sport, and that's at the highest level. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you can afford to, you know, not have to take a day job, you know, then you're obviously doing something right.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I've worked some shitty jobs. I was working nights for a long time at a supermarket just to be able to fight and stuff like that, keep my training and things like that. So I'm quite lucky that my wife works as well. So we've got an income coming in as well. So when I wasn't quite earning enough, or I mean, the trouble is with the fight game, if I don't fight, I don't get paid. So I get paid a big lump sum when I fight, and then that's got to last me if there's injuries or something like coronavirus happens. Then all of a sudden I'm struggling. So I'm lucky in the fact that my missus supports everything I do and helps out, and she goes to work and stuff. So yeah, for a long time I didn't think it was going to happen. Like you say, that even in the top sport, people think you sign for the UFC, that's it, you've made it, but it's not necessarily the case. Not necessarily the case at all. So
yeah, until you're fighting, you know, 6 times a year like Cowboy, or you know, or you're winning world titles. You know, you're not actually making any money. You know, it's not life-changing money. And it was like, you know, Dana was being interviewed, wasn't he? And he said it's not a job, it's an opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah. That is it. I think a lot of people don't realise. They look at it and go, "Oh, you make this much money from 15 minutes," and it's like, but that's not 15 minutes. It's 8 weeks of camp. It's the years of effort you've put in. It's all of that. And then you look at it and you go, all right, I've got to take out all my training costs. I've got to take out all my diet. I've got to take out all my sacrifices. I've got to pay my coaches and all that sort of thing. You don't make that much money. You've got to be sensible with it. And I think a lot of the trouble is, and I've been there. You know what I mean? I think having the wife and the kids now has settled me down and made me realise a little bit more. Listen to my dad finally. I mean, he'll tell you I probably still don't listen enough, but and you've got to start putting some money away and using that, because you get this big lump sum, which isn't theoretically that much if you're not fighting 4 times a year, and you've got to put some of it away. You've got to make it work for you, rather than going, oh sweet, I've got this, I'll buy a new car, or oh yeah, I'll go out and buy all this, and then you go, ah shit, I haven't got anything left, I've got to fight again, and then you're taking fights just to make money. So
well, I mean, I've never met the guy, but apparently, you know, I don't think there's a person on the planet that's got a bad word to say about Scott Coker. And, you know, apparently he's an absolute legend. Like I say, don't know the guy, never met him, but from what I've heard about people that have fought for him, and, you know, he's got a very, very good reputation, and he's a very, very sound bloke.
Yeah, but to be honest, everyone that I've met through Bellator, every single person in there, to me it feels like they've got the fighter's interests at heart, and they want you to be fighting and happy, because it puts on better fights. You know what I mean? If I'm going in there worried where my next pay packet comes from, am I going to get cut? Is this going to happen? And that's going to happen. Sometimes you fight a little bit reserved. Sometimes you're just there for the money. Where they're really like looking after us, telling me, yeah, no, look, don't worry. You go out there and put it on the line. We're going to keep signing you. We're going to want you fighting for us and this sort of thing. And it just makes you happy. You know what I mean? When you're turning up and people are looking out for you and they're standing around and give you time to talk and you can message them and stuff like that, it makes life a lot easier and it's a lot more relaxing. I'm not worried where the next pay packet's coming from. You know what I mean? Obviously, with the corona happened and all that, you never know. I don't know whether I'm going to fight again this year, but I know when I do fight, I'm getting paid enough money to make a little bit. So
good stuff. So, I mean, you mentioned Dave earlier. So you are training with? Is it Team Crossface still? Is that yeah? And that's Dave Lee, yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, Dave Lee. Yeah.
I mean, I've fucking hell. Dave was like one of the first people I ever met when I got into MMA. So, because I used to live in Slough, and there was no. This was like fuck me. It was like 2002, you know, and there was no training in Slough or anywhere near. I was working in London, and I was doing a bit of training in London, and basically I met this lad called Dan, this Canadian lad, and he lived in Windsor, and we were like, fuck it, we want to do some training. So we just hired this squash court at Montham Leisure Centre, chucked some mats down, put up a poster, anybody want to do some training, and next thing you got fucking Dave turning up, and we were like, ah. And I didn't even know who he was. I was like, oh, you've done much before? He's like, oh, yes. I was like, ah, brilliant. You can take the lessons then. And yeah, so I mean, and obviously, you know, Dave fought in the UFC. You know, very, very experienced, very, very smart guy. And from what I understand, you've been with him sort of since day one, haven't you?
Yeah. From the moment I walked into the gym, I mean, I was similar. I was looking for a gym for a long time. I was playing football and stuff like that, and just falling out of love with football, and really wanted to fight, and couldn't find anywhere. Everywhere was saying, "Oh, yeah, you got to travel into London shoot and stuff like that." Obviously, which is a bit of a way for me. Or it was about 3 trains or something like that, and I was like, "Ah, I'm an Narin." And then someone told me about Dave Lee training in South Oxford around the corner in a scout hut, and I was like, I really didn't believe it would be him in there. I turned up and I was like, "Oh God, it is him!" Like, and straight away you could see the knowledge that he's got, and he was like, "Mate, yeah, this is what I want to do." And like I say, I haven't looked back since. Stayed with him the whole time. His knowledge is unbelievable, not just in the fight game, but in the nutrition side, the strength and conditioning side. His whole outlook and the way he does stuff it fits for me. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's there to help everyone out. And, you know, I haven't looked back since. So.
Yeah. And who else are you training with at the moment? Who's on the team right now? Who's doing well?
At the moment, you've got to look for Sam Patterson. I think you might have refed him on one of the KO shows. I think as an amateur.
Yeah.
He's just signed another multi-fight contract. I think with Brave. He's going all the way. No doubt about it. He's going all the way. He's superb. Then we've got obviously Martin Hudson.
Martin.
Martin. We've got some good amateurs coming through as well. People like Omar Sargent, who unbeaten. Oh, well, no, he's lost one. I think it was one amateur fight. Hopefully he'll start looking at turning pro soon. Just trying to think off the top of my head the guys that we train with. It's a nightmare. We've got a lot. We've got a lot. The thing that impresses me is nowadays, now that we've got a full-time gym, is the amateurs train more than I was when I turned pro. You know what I mean? When I turned pro, I was training, I think it was 2 nights a week and a couple of daytimes if I was lucky, and I turned pro. These guys are training full-time as amateurs. So we've got a lot of amateurs down there that have got a lot of experience. So they're not names at the moment, but they will push you as hard as a lot of the pros do. Do you know what I mean? So we're building a good thing down there. Crossface.
Yeah, I mean, like Martin Hudson, got a lot of time for him, so I bumped into him a few times quite recently over the last couple of years. So I was taking my kid up to do a bit of boxing at High Wycombe with Russell. And obviously I bumped into Martin there a few times. He's a bit of a dichotomy of a character. So, like, you know, you meet him and he's always got a massive smile on his face and he's like the nicest guy. But then, like, I fucking remember when that last time I refereed you and he was on the card and he's fucking charging down to the cage like that. And I was like, whoa, what the fuck, man? I was like, calm fuck down, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, he fucking gets himself a bit hyped up for a row, doesn't he?
Just a little bit, mate. Yeah, just a little bit. He's a crazy guy, mate. I love Martin. Got a lot of time for him. I was training with him yesterday in High Wycombe, actually. But yeah, so I've got a lot of time for Martin. Real nice guy, and mate, he comes to fight, doesn't he? He just comes to fight. Win, lose, come to fight, and he's all or nothing. It was funny when he was back in the amateurs. He was winning quite a few, and he was going crazy and getting pumped up for the fights. And I remember me and Dave trying to calm him down. No, relax, come on, calm down. Go in there and do this and this. And it just wasn't him. It just seemed to put him completely off his game. And then all of a sudden we're like, no, actually, you need to build yourself up to get like that to fight. Then go for it. So I just I think if I was going that crazy, I wouldn't get out the first round. I'd be shattered.
Yeah, I mean, God, yeah. I mean, he like I say, you know, I've never seen anything like it when he fucking come charging down towards the cage. And like, I was stood in the cage and I saw him running towards it. And he was like, and I rushed over to the door and I went, mate, stop. I said, you're not coming in here like that. I was like, look, just relax a bit. And that's the thing, you know, but that's what I'm saying is he's such a fucking nice dude when he's fucking like just normal. I don't know how he fucking gets himself up crazy like that. But so look, I mean, look, you've got, you know, your record's currently 16-11-1.
Yep.
You know, so that's, you know, 28 fights on your record. I'm not going to go through every single one in minute detail. We'll be here for the rest of your life. So, but tell me, so out of the fights that you've had, what was your favourite fight?
Favourite fight? Oh, you know what? Possibly the Mick Bowman fight. I think that was probably one of my favourite fights. I won the title in Bolton.
All right, that FCC, yeah.
Because obviously Bowman was coming off of the Ultimate Fighter show and stuff like that.
Got a name and a reputation.
Yeah. It was only 4 weeks after my fight on Budo in Watford. And it seemed to, everything just seemed to click.
That was refereed by a very tall, handsome chap.
Yes, it was. He's done a great job. And yeah, I think that one sticks in my mind a little bit, just because it was the FCC title meant a lot to me, because it's a great show and I really like Adam and stuff like that. I like the show. Yeah. But to beat someone that, and the performance I put on, it was an enjoyable performance. I felt like I took a bit of a step forwards, rather than being like this guy who was on the verge of being decent. It was like, oh yeah, no, it almost proved that I was at that level. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, that one sticks in my mind. I think more recently, I think the Bungard fight again was superb for me. Not my last one on Bellator, the one before that. On such a big stage, and after he's come off a devastating win over Brazier, to then dominate him all 3 rounds and put on a show like that, it was. I think that was quite a good performance, and that one was a nice one as well.
Yeah, and I mean the quality of that card. You know, I'm gonna, you know, apart from Geordie Shaw, yeah, I mean, like, fucking hell, you know, the main event. You know, Rafael Lovato Jr. and Gegard Mousasi. You know, it really doesn't get much better than that. You know what I mean? So,
it's crazy.
And then, and on that FCC, the following fight, then you beat Rob Sinclair as well. Again, another big name there. And then you've sort of stepped up to the bigger stage. Now, there was one that sort of went a bit viral. You got your knockout on Brave.
Yes,
that one sort of hit the internet quite a bit. Did you get a lot of recognition for that? It sort of seemed quite viral.
Yeah, a lot of people went crazy for that. A lot of people posted saying like round of the year and stuff like that. It was only 3 minutes or so, wasn't it? But a lot of people we got fight of the night for that. Got a bonus for fight of the night, and it was 3 minutes. But yeah, I mean, I look back at that and mate, I kicked myself. I made more than one mistake, which at that level you can't do. Do you know what I mean? You're lucky to get away with one mistake a lot of the time, but in that fight, don't get me wrong, it was exciting. It was great. It was. I did get a lot of people adding me and picking it up, but I still lost it. So it's hard to swallow. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry,
I don't think I'm.
What was the next one? There wasn't the next one where you won by knockout, and that was the one that's what I was thinking about. Sorry.
Well, okay, so I lost to Azatar.
Yeah.
In that round of the year or whatever it was. I then fought Scatizzi from SBG, and I knocked him out in the third, which was a great fight. First round, I think he'd taken by taking me down and holding me down. Second round, I started landing more shots and tiring him out. And then third round, got the knockout. That was a nice one, because obviously coming from SBG and having Kavanagh in his corner and stuff, I knew it was going to be a big scout to fight that guy. And we had Frankie Edgar and stuff commentating, so having him commentating was really nice on the fight. That was a nice knockout. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a big show, that Brave, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, and it's only getting bigger. They're doing the right things, I think. Do you know what I mean? They're not trying to jump out too fast too soon, but they're putting on a great platform for people, and I think they're going to be a great show, or they are a great show, but I think they're going to be a big show as well. So
then, like I say, so then you went on to Bellator, couple of wins, couple of losses, but you know you've got your feet firmly under the table there. And so, out of all of the fights that you've had, is there any fight that you didn't enjoy? Is there any anyone where you felt it was like, or what was the one that you didn't enjoy the most?
I think the one I probably least enjoyed was my title defence on Ultimate Challenge against Maxim Matus, where I lost because I feel like I overlooked him a little bit. I didn't prepare enough for it. I made mistakes. I think I'd almost read into my own hype. You know what I mean? I'd just beaten Facey for the title. I felt like, oh yes, I'm on the roll. I'd beaten Ben McGonigal, that everyone was saying he's tearing through the division. And I just overlooked him. I was like, oh yeah, he's a wrestler here, take me down, but I submitted. And I spent 3 rounds pretty much on my back. And yeah, I just feel like I never turned up for it. I just made a massive mistake. But it's learning. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't learn from things like that and don't progress, then there's no point in doing this sport. Do you know what I mean? So I try and take something from every fight, whether I win, lose, or draw, and push on from that. But yeah, that one really sticks in my mind because that one hurt. I should have beat that guy. Do you know what I mean? Now, I've had some tight losses. I've had decisions not go my way. I've had this, I've had that. But that one really, really hits home because I didn't prepare myself. Do you know what I mean? I let myself down and stuff like that. So it's yeah, that one was it.
Well, you know, that's it. I mean, look, I've never fought professionally or anything like that, you know, but I've been around the circuit for a long time, and I must be like the fucking most unlucky guy ever. I've signed up for a few fights, and then like the fucking 2 weeks before the fight, I've always got injured.
Your eye socket, wasn't it, and stuff like that?
That was most recently, yeah, that was it. That was in middle of March. So I was supposed to have like a charity boxing match on the Boxing for Veterans at the end of March. And so my last sparring session, and the guy who I was sparring with, like a few weeks before, had already fucking done one of my ribs. So one of my ribs was fucked anyway. And I'm like that, and he's a fucking unit, this geezer. He's like 100 kilos of solid muscle. He's like 27, you know, ex-professional footballer as well, just a fucking athlete in a unit. And I've gone in and I've just gone, look, mate, fucking just, let's take it easy here. And it was, so we'd done 2 rounds, and it was there was like the third round. We were just like, was going to finish this 3rd round, and that was going to be it. Fucking 16-ounce gloves, head guards. I've just fucking walked it, and it was only a jab. He's fucking flicked the jab out like that, and obviously I've fucking just turned into it like that. And fucking next thing I know, I'm lying on the fucking boxing ring floor, staring at the ceiling, just going, fuck. And then I've looked in the mirror, and my fucking eyeballs like half an inch lower than the other one. Had to drive home like that with one of my eyes shut. Yeah, like that. And so that where you were talking about your missus in the hospital with a Rona and all that. So that was it. So this was literally just as the fucking Corona kicked off. The next day, I've had to go to the fucking A&E, and I was shitting myself thinking I'm gonna fucking catch the disease and fucking all of that. And yeah, and I've gone in. I've walked into the hospital. I was the only cunt there. There was nobody in there. It was brilliant. It was fucking, honestly, it was the best fucking, if you're gonna, mate, I'm telling you, if you're gonna fuck your face up, do it just when there's a pandemic on. And yeah, so that was, so I got hurt on the Sunday, fucking got a CT scan on the Monday, and then the following week I was in, and I had a titanium plate put into the bottom of my eye socket. So I'm just as pretty as I ever was. Look at that.
That's it. Yeah,
but yeah, it's my own fault. Fucking getting into, I'm fucking 43, nearly 44. I'm a fat I'm a fat recovering alcoholic, and I'm fucking in there with 27-year-old killers, thinking I can still do it like I used to. You know what I mean? So it's my own fault, really. But anyway, so look, what we do is we normally we've actually got quite a good week this week. So over the last fucking 2 months, when you go onto the Google News page, it's just like fucking, Rona, lockdown, fucking this, that, the other. And there's not been a lot of actual other news, but we've actually had, we've actually had a couple of funny things come up. So, well, first things first, the good news for everybody hopefully watching the podcast is that Boris Johnson has hinted that the gyms will be opening in a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks, yeah.
I mean, you said that Dave's all up to date. Have you been speaking to Dave about it at all? Or?
Yeah. So Dave's up to date, but where we train in the gym, we're not open. The gym that we train at isn't open and stuff like that. So we've luckily, Hayden.
Richfield, yeah.
He's got. He runs the Hayes Rugby Club, so he's let us put mats down and train there. So that's where we've been going to go and train a few times a week and stuff like that, because the gym that we actually train at is still shut. It's a public gym, so they're closed. So it's a pain. As soon as they let us in, we'll be all right to go and train. But yeah, Dave's up to date. I think he's literally on it every time there's an announcement. He knows before anyone else. He'd actually sent the link. I got him from training, and the link was on my phone saying, look, Boris has said in a couple of weeks we should be open. So I'm hoping, a couple of weeks we'll be all right.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. I mean, we've started, my boxing club, we've started doing some outdoor socially distant training. So basically there's a youth club near the boxing club, and they've got like a basketball court. But I mean, it's tarmac and it's fucking very gravelly. And it's in Whitley. I don't know if you know Reading at all, but Whitley's one of the less salubrious areas of Reading. So there's fucking broken bottles and shit all over the place. You know what I mean? So you've just got to be fucking careful. So, but look, the thing about it is you've fucking been cooped up in the house when they were like, right, we're going to do some training down in the basketball court. I mean, I lost loads of weight when I was training for that fight. And then when I got injured and the lockdown happened, I just started eating donuts again, and I fucking put all the weight back on. I'm like, I'm a fat cunt again. So I'm fucking like that. Right, let's fucking get back training. So it was so nice to get back and see the lads and stuff like that. So, but I'm assuming that the people that you're training with, you've probably only got a few guys that are classed as the elite for the professional training. Yes,
there's a select few. I mean, when it first started, the numbers had to be capped at 6 or something like that, I think it was. Like I say, I don't know exact numbers because Dave was the one that was doing it all. He knows all of it. But I think it was capped at 6 to start with. I think it's now 8 or something like that. But yeah, we've got the few elite guys that are coming down. But like you say, it was just so nice to see people again and see your mates and actually spend some time. It's a bit weird. Most of my mates, I punch in the face every day and stuff like that. But that's what we do. So that's what we enjoy. Pardon? Did I feel rusty? Mate, I felt it wasn't so much the boxing. I'd been going to I was lucky. When I lived at my mum's, I'd built like a gym down the back garden. So I'd had some bags and stuff like that, speedballs and stuff. So I'd been going down to hit the bag a week before I was allowed back to go and start training. So my hands didn't feel too bad, but the grappling and the cardio was atrocious. But like I say, I'd had the lockdown, and then I'd had the baby, and then I'd had 2.5 weeks of doing nothing. Mate, my weight was terrible. I'd had 2 weeks of doing nothing at all. So yeah, it was hard work the first couple of sessions. I mean, I've done the first session, got home, woke up the next day, I felt like I'd been hit by a bus. It was not fun. It was not fun. I thought I'd be all right. I'd show my hands a little bit. I'll be sharp enough. But as soon as you start grappling or doing anything, oh mate, just absolute killer it was. But like I say, it's been a few weeks now, and I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting it back again. It's quite nice because having that time off has actually let my body heal a little bit. Little niggling injuries that I was trying to push through and stuff like that seem to have touch wood, seem to have healed up. It's given me a new love for actually going and training again. Do you know what I mean? It makes me really want to be in there. So I can't complain too much. But yeah, it's once I can get my weight down a little bit more, I'll be sharper again. But yeah, I definitely felt the rust, and the cardio was terrible to start with.
Well, that's it. I mean, see, because I've got my old man's fucking knee injury, I've fucking got no cartilage in my knee, which is why I stopped refereeing. And just incidentally, when I did stop refereeing, you were the only person that sent me a message. Fucking, no. I swear to God. And just like, I don't think I've ever told you, I haven't said anything, but I swear to God, I was so like when I put that post up saying, right, that's it, I can't referee no more because me knee. You were the first one. You sent me a message saying, oh, look, it's been, you've always looked after me and da-da-da-da. And I was like that. I was proper made up. So I just, and it was like fucking 4 years ago or something. But obviously I don't think I mentioned any at the time. I might have had me feelings hurt that there wasn't many people fucking said it. But yeah, I mean, the post got a lot of likes and that. But yeah, it was really nice of you to fucking do that. And so Yeah, so because of my dodgy knee, like my cardio I can only do from swimming, and obviously the swimming pool's fucking shut. So I can't wait. I can't wait to fucking get back to the actual gym and fucking have a swim and a sauna and a steam room and fucking and have a bit of a chill as well. You know what I mean? So hopefully we should be getting back that in a couple of weeks. But obviously, I don't know if you're a political guy at all. I'm not really political, but I do think Boris Johnson's absolutely fucked up the entire handling of the situation. If you look at the statistics, you know what I mean? The amount of people that we've got in this country compared to the amount of deaths that we've had is absolutely ridiculous. There's been fucking plane loads of people landed from China with no screening and, fucking all of that shit. So, Boris Johnson has been picking up Cunt of the Week nominations on a very regular basis. So, we don't want to stray away from that. So we're definitely going to keep him as Cunt of the Week. However, there's actually a few this week. So the first one, and this is fucking hilarious. So there was an article in the Daily Mail today. Now, obviously, the Daily Mail's a bit fucking shit. However, but there was something funny. So I don't know if you heard about it, right? I didn't know until I read this today. So the headline in the Daily Mail was British mother who converted to Islam before becoming the UK's first female suicide bomb plotter was too stoned to blow up St. Paul's Cathedral. The courtiers, as she's been jailed for 14 years. Basically, this fucking daft cunt, right? She's like some fucking slag, fucking single mother that was living next door and she converted to Islam. She was living next door to some Muslims. They were really nice to her. She's converted to Islam. Fair enough. That was like 2007. But then, like fucking 7 years later, she started getting onto the radical side of things. And she's fucking gone online and tried to buy a bomb, right? Yeah. And who was the fucking person that answered the fucking advert to buy a bomb? Obviously an undercover policeman. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, I want to buy a bomb. And oh, we can do that for you. So she's fucking gone and met this fucking undercover old Bill and told this undercover old Bill all about the fucking plot to blow up the fucking thing. Anyway, it was blow up St. Paul's Cathedral. Anyway, so the day that she was supposed to blow up St. Paul's Cathedral, she hasn't turned up. And basically she's fucking, the daft bitch, she's been like her lawyers were going, oh yeah, she was only like a fantasist and she was just trying to make friends and all that, like, putting a defense together. And she's gone like, no, I was definitely going to do it. And the lawyer's like, what the fuck? And then she's told her mate, she's gone, the only reason I didn't do it is because I was fucking smoking weed and I got too stoned to fucking go and blow the thing up. So, yeah, I mean, you read this fucking article, she's an absolute catalogue of fucking stupidity. So she is definitely Cunt of the Week. So she's been, her name is Safia Shaikh. That's like a converted name. She was, what was she called? Fucking Slag Smith or something like that. I don't fucking know. But anyway, the daft bitch is in jail for 14 years and I hope she fucking rots, this stupid cunt. So that...
I actually heard the story on the radio when I was driving back. And they said not only had she planned to blow up St. Paul's, she then planned to kill herself on a train full of people or something and fucking blow herself up and all this. I think 14 years is too little for her.
Yeah, I want to throw away the key on that stupid cunt. Yeah. I just, it was one of them. There's not, I always try and pick out the sort of the funny and the light-hearted and the good type of articles. And a lot of the time it's fucking hard, man, because the news is just full of fucking shit and, fucking depression and fucking war and disease and fucking all of that. But that was, that one definitely did tickle my funny bone, the stupid fucking cunt. So she's definitely, so slag bag fucking ISIS birds definitely in the running for Cunt of the Week. Now, so far, we haven't seen them yet, but this Saturday, the pubs reopen. And I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a barrage of cunts. So I'm assuming that you, as a professional athlete with a young family, aren't going anywhere near the pub this weekend.
No, 100% not. To be honest, I'm not a big drinker or a pub goer anyway. Don't don't get me wrong, after a fight, I'll have a good night out and I'll have a drink and stuff like that. But I'm not a massive pub goer, like you say, young family and a wife and all that sort of thing. It's not my thing. But yeah, all I can see is absolute carnage happening this weekend.
You ever been a doorman?
No. My dad was a doorman for years. He head doorman at a load of different clubs and stuff. And he told me, don't ever be. When he quit, he went, don't ever be a doorman these days. He goes, it's fucking shit.
Where was that? Where did he do that?
In Watford. It was like Bailey's at Paradise Lost, I think, or Kudos or whatever it was back in the day. Yeah. He was the head doorman there for a good few years. And like you said, when he quit, he goes, because it was just starting to get full of fucking idiots turning up with knives and all sorts. And he just goes, don't do it, mate. Just don't do it. So, yeah, it's not something that I really look for.
The thing about it is, it's not only that. It's like, because I did it for 10 years. So I fucking started doing it when I was like 19, 20, and did it for about 10 years up until the age of 30. And then, so I did it, and then I moved to Spain, and I was doing it in Spain. And, you know, that was just before the sort of the SIA badge bullshit came in. And then the problem is once that badge fucking shit came in, you then just got the job centre fucking sending people on the course. And next thing, you've got these fucking idiots that can't fight their way out of a paper bag, fucking stood on the front door trying to tell people what to do. So not only the rise in the level of idiots coming into the club with fucking knives and fucking whatever, that was fucking worse. But the level of idiots you're working with was also,
and the people you expect to have your back and look after you are fucking idiots.
Oh, and they're in the toilet when it kicks off in that fucking shit happens. So yeah, fuck that. So yeah, like I'm sure there's going to be fucking like Sunday morning. I'm guaranteed there's going to be fucking news out Sunday morning of fucking absolute carnage that's been going on. So a preemptive strike of cunts of the week, or is anyone that's going to the pub on the Saturday. So fuck them. So, one final thing, which I thought was, so two final things. So, there was, there was an article on BBC News. It says here, Devon off-grid residents used axes to threaten doggers. So basically, there's this fucking one of these hippie communes in Devon somewhere. It's like one of them swampy affairs. And apparently there's a car park near that where there's all these gay men have been shagging each other. And and two of these fucking swampies got the hump of the fucking gay doggers and tipped up with a fucking load of axes and started waving axes at people. Now, I mean, you'd think that these swampies would be a little bit more live and let live, wouldn't you? With regards to the fucking gay dogging action.
Yeah.
But anyway, they were both waving axes at people, and they got some community service. So yeah, so there you go. The lesson to be learned is don't go gay dogging down in Devon.
Do it somewhere else.
And finally, there is beavers born in Essex for the first time in 400 years. Now, I thought Essex was quite famous for beaver, but by all accounts, we're talking about the animal, not the ladies that live in Essex. But yeah, apparently beavers have been born in Essex for the first time in 400 years. So if you want to go to Essex and get yourself some beaver, it's definitely now possible. So that is news and shit for the week, and preemptive cunts, and they will be everywhere. So let's move on to MMA and shit. So let's have a quick look back. Did you watch the UFC last weekend? Did you get a chance to watch it?
You know what? I hadn't watched it up until yesterday. I got to actually see the main co-main event and a couple of the highlights. Like I say, having the little one and stuff like that, my sleep pattern's not good. So I haven't had a chance, but I'd heard it was great, and I've been meaning to watch the fights. And then, like I say, I've got, I think yesterday I watched the Poirier fight and the Mickey Gall fight and the Perry. Mate, what a fight that Poirier Hooker fight was.
Yeah,
that was worth the money straight off the bat, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Proper rock'em sock'em robots affair, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think
everyone's saying fight of the year, basically.
Yeah. I was a little bit slating Hooker a little bit for coming off of the game plan from the first two. But I was speaking to Sam at training today, and he said that he broke his foot because he was hitting that low calf kick, like the inside calf kick. I think it was really putting Poirier off and keeping his distance. And then come the third round, he started trying to grapple, and Poirier's got good grappling. I think Poirier was going to be better in the grappling. And he was sitting in the pocket a little bit more, but apparently he'd broke his foot. So that would explain why he wasn't moving so well, and he'd gone away from that calf kick and stuff like that. But yeah, it was what a fight that was. I think someone was taking over. All of a sudden, someone would land something else, and that was it. They were just at it.
Well, that was it. I think I think even the commentator said, when it was at more of a distance, Hooker was using his reach and he was landing shots, and then Dustin Poirier was getting inside, and once he was getting inside, he was working well inside. But I mean, by the end of the second round, they were both cut and busted up, and that by the end of the second round, they looked like they had gone 5 rounds. You know what I mean? So it was absolute savagery. But I mean, having a look at the rankings, I mean, obviously, Poirier, basically, if Khabib didn't exist, Poirier would be champion.
Yes, pretty much.
And obviously now, you've got Justin Gaethje, who's going to be fighting Khabib. So obviously Poirier's just put himself in line to take on for that. I mean, do you keep an eye on this division specifically a little bit more because it's your division?
Yeah, I think so. But I also think it is probably one of the most exciting divisions. Do you know what I mean? It's got one of the most talented divisions possibly. Maybe I'm biased because that is my division. Do you know what I mean? But I just there's so many of them guys that I really like and like the way they fight at the moment. It's superb. I'm a little bit worried. I don't know whether you heard the news just before we come on. I see the news that Habib's dad's died.
Unfortunately, yeah, I did see that. Yeah, very, very sad.
Yeah, sad news, which is going to hit Habib hard because how close them two are and stuff like that. So I think that may mean Poirier gets his crack at Gaethje again instead of the Gaethje Habib fight. You never know. It's a horrible situation to be in. It may make for a nice rematch between Gaethje and Poirier instead. I know Dan Hooker was saying that he wants to fight Tony Ferguson, which would be a great fight.
Yeah.
Just some absolute killers in that division. I do keep an eye on that one.
I mean, look, Dan Hooker, he's currently ranked at number 5. Dustin Poirier ranked at number 2. I don't know if they've actually altered those rankings since the fight, but yeah. So you got Khabib, you got Justin Gaethje, then you've got Poirier, Tony Ferguson, Conor McGregor, Dan Hooker, and I mean, look, there's no reason for there's no reason for Dan Hooker to go down, even though he lost that fight. It was fucking close, man, and. It was a unanimous decision, but if they'd have said at the end of the fight, Dan Hooker had won, I don't think anybody would have complained either. It was all depends. No. It all depends on what your preference is. Is it is it that range work or is it the work in close?
I think talking about training with Dave and stuff as well. And to be fair, everyone had said when I read about it because I'd seen the results and stuff, and it was like, okay, yeah, Dan Hooker had 1 and 2, Poirier had the last 3 rounds, and when I was watching it, I thought Poirier was probably sneaking the second round until the last maybe 30 seconds, and then he looks like he almost going to finish Poirier.
That last 30 seconds of the second round, they were just fucking swinging, weren't they? And some of the shots landed.
Hooker got the better of it, and all of a sudden everyone went, yeah, that's definitely Hooker's round. But I think if you watch the whole round, Poirier was probably doing a little bit better in that round. And in the third round, everyone said, yeah, Poirier took. But I was watching it, I was going, I'm not sure. Maybe it was close. So like you say, if it had gone a different way, you couldn't really knock it. Do you know what I mean? It was such a great fight. No one just going at it. So
what do you think of the lack of the crowd? So I mean, like there's I think everyone's split. I mean, I know I am. Obviously, the atmosphere that's created with the crowd is sometimes quite essential. However, you can fucking hear those shots landing, can't you? And you're like, you go from being like, to like hearing fucking those shots land. You go, ooh, yeah, cunt, and that must have hurt.
Yeah. This is it. I think it's good for people to watch with no sound because they actually hear that crack and go, oh shit, no, that really hurts. Because sometimes you see the leg kick or you see an elbow or something, no, that don't sound. But you hear that crack and you go, oh shit, no, that must have fucking hurt. Like, I'm finding it weird the fact that the fighters can hear the commentators because I think Poirier Poirier at one point answers Bisping or something. It's like, and I know someone had said about Cormier, and he was talking.
I heard Cormier was like having an extra cornerman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I think that's a little bit weird. I think they might need to change that up a little bit, because it's getting a bit risky if they're getting an advantage from listening to the people. I mean, especially when you've got people like Cormier and Dominic Cruz and Bisping who are doing the commentary. Their knowledge is so minute, they can see that little detail that could change a fight. You know what I mean? It could change whether you're getting taken down or you're staying up, whether you're landing the right shot and stuff. So I don't know. It's making it exciting,
particularly with the wrestling. You know, when Cruz and Cormier, you know, when they break down how the fucking wrestling's going on. And I mean, like, you know, I've done a little bit of wrestling, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, you know, a tiny little bit. You know, I can fucking, you know, I can do a double leg and an arm drag, and that's about as fucking far as it goes. You know what I mean? But, you know, and you listen to the way that, you know, that they just, the way that they can see it, and then, you know, and then chain, and, you know, they mentally chain wrestle, you know, through the different combinations. And you're like, fucking, they talk, and you're like, fucking hell. Yeah, I mean, real fucking unbelievable stuff. And yeah, I mean, like, I was speaking to, I was at a show in Basingstoke. It was Jeremy Bailey's show, and you know, Chi Lewis Parry, he was he was doing security at the show, and again, I refereed him at that show in Watford as well that time. And yeah, so I've known him for a good while. It's absolute sound bloke. And I don't know if you're aware, did you know that he actually got signed to the UFC recently?
I didn't know. No, I didn't know.
They haven't made a big deal out of it. All right. So basically, he got signed to the UFC, but nothing's really happened about it. They haven't sort of made any big announcements. And I think that they're going to want that there was talk about him, you know, going on to the next card where Cormier is on. So, you know, you might see him come when Cormier fights Stipe, but because basically Daniel Cormier brought him in to fight Mick John Jones. Because he's a big motherfucker, man. He's absolutely huge, and yeah, and like, so him and DC are quite good mates. And yeah, I'm a total fucking DC fanboy, me. Absolutely. And we were just talking about him, and yeah, and he's, you know, you see all the things he does, you know, teaches the kids wrestling, and, you know, he genuinely comes across as one of the nicest dudes out there. And I was like, is he really like that? He's like, yeah, he's really like that. I was like, that fucking made me so happy. You know what I mean?
Always nice to hear when they're actually that genuine, isn't it? Always nice to hear.
Yeah. So yeah, big fanboy love for a bit of DC. So and then what did you think about? I was going to say, what did you think about the controversial? So obviously Dustin Poirier, Dan Hooker could have went either way. You know, they're both sort of more or less in the same position, and we think that you know, hopefully, if Khabib, depending on what happens to Khabib, Poirier has definitely put himself in a position to fight the winner of Gaethje and Khabib. But again, you know, say for example, if Khabib does win that, you know, which is for the first time ever, I think is a big if. You know, until Justin Gaethje beat Ferguson in that absolutely dominant fashion, nobody thought there was nobody thought there might have been a decent challenger. But Gaethje's come out as being, and I didn't predict that. I thought he was going to get beat. You know,
really, yeah.
Up, and he's come through as the challenger. So, you know, if Khabib does win, then the problem is does anyone want to see Poirier versus Khabib too?
This is the trouble. Yeah, do they? But the thing is, who's next? If Khabib does run through Gaethje, who could possibly be next? You'd have to wait for Ferguson to get another win before you can put him back into that. Well, I say you have to wait for him to get a win. I mean, the way things are going at the moment, you don't have to be on a win to get a title shot, do you? I mean, Aldo's fighting, he's coming off with a loss. I know it was a tight loss and stuff like that, but yeah, the only other one really at the moment has got to be Ferguson to fight for that title, isn't it? But they'd probably just chuck Conor in and try and make money out of it. Just about to say, or they go the money route and say, okay, let's just drop Conor back in there and go again. Which I don't. At the moment, it's a money thing, isn't it? They're trying to get the asses on seats and viewers and stuff like that, especially without any live gates and stuff. If they can bring in more people buying pay-per-views, they're going to do it, aren't they? So rather than the Poirier fight where people
Well, let's just, we'll just pay a little bit of respect. Apparently Khabib's dad was the only person Khabib was fucking scared of. So he must have been basically one of the fucking hardest, scariest cunts walking the planet. So, big respect goes out to that fella. And let's hope that Khabib, gets himself a bit of peace. And we'll hope we'll see him back soon. So obviously the controversial thing of the night was Mike Perry with his girlfriend in his corner. Did you see that?
That guy is absolutely fucking nuts. Just absolutely nuts. The trouble is, I mean, I see pros and cons for it. The way he is, it probably works for him because the guy's crazy and he don't listen to his fucking corner anyway. He's bounced around gyms. I mean, you look at the people he's trained with and where he's been and stuff like that. You'd think, all right, he obviously doesn't listen enough. Maybe he takes what he needs from them and goes somewhere else and stuff like that. But mate, it seems to work for him. There's no way I could deal with that. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it would work for me. I know I've got the people in my corner for a specific reason because they know what I need to be doing, what I'm doing wrong, where I'm going wrong. They know how to talk to me to get me up for a fight. I mean, if you watched her, she's just going, "Good job. Do you want me to put the ice anywhere else?" And it's
punch him in the face.
Yeah. It's like, what? But I mean, it worked for him, didn't it? He won.
But you not think that, Mickey Gall, he's a black belt. He's a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's got a fairly reasonable record, but the level of experience difference. Mike Perry was far above him. So do you think that just Mike Perry knew that it was an easy fight for him, and that's why he decided to do that because he doesn't have to pay the cornerman?
There is a possibility. Yes, there is a possibility because they mentioned it on commentary, something about him. He'd been working with some twins, but he said that they didn't deserve to be in the corner or something. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was a financial decision. He went, look, I've worked with him, but I don't have to pay anyone this way. And like you say, massive difference in experience. But I think Mickey Gall went about it the wrong way. But then saying that, Perry seemed to dominate him on the ground as well as anywhere else. Do you know what I mean? I was expecting Gall to come out, shoot on him, put him down, and really work him in the grappling. Maybe he got a little bit too much success early on where he was hitting him with a jab and stuff like that, and he thought, oh, I can do this. And then he started gassing. I think Gall possibly needs to either go up a weight or work on his cardio a little bit because he does seem to dip a lot after the first round. Maybe that's where he went wrong and that's why Perry done it. But I mean, Perry's a big, strong guy. And maybe he just wore on him. But I think Gall went in it with the wrong thing. And like you say, the experience was a massive difference. I think the experience, people overlook the experience a lot of the time, don't they? They just look at records, oh yeah, this and that. But yeah, the experience is a big deal.
And one of the things that Mike Perry was talking about in his post-fight interview was about money. He was fucking hammered by the taxman and stuff like that. So I think maybe it was a bit of a financial decision to try and keep his costs low.
Yeah, there's got to be a chance in that. Yeah, got to be something like that. Do you know what I mean? This is the things that people don't see. Yes, you get that pay packet, but half of it goes to the tax man, then half of it goes to your corner team, and half of it goes here and there. And it's like you say, all of a sudden you're coming away with nothing. Whereas he's just saved a shitload of money on not having to pay that out. So yeah, it could well be financial.
Mrs. asked if she can do your corner now.
Fucking hell. I hope not. I think she'd fucking beat me up for not doing what she says. But yeah. She comes to every fight. She comes to support every fight and stuff like that. So I can't knock her. I think her and my mum have only ever missed the fights that were in Abu Dhabi and stuff like that. So they're always at every fight. But I don't think she gets a little bit too nervous to be in my corner anyway. She gets nervous for the fight. So, yeah, I'm lucky.
And then, I mean, there was a couple of other good fights on the card. There was Takashi Sato beat Jason Witt by knockout in round one. They were talking about his 1-2, and then he just fucking threw the 1-2 and cracked him straight with that big right hand, stuck him down on his arse. But then the one that was the big surprise, you had Julian Arosa beat that Sean Woodson by Baraubo in round 3. But basically, he was getting peppered up for the 2.5 rounds.
Yeah, that was it. He was. I think he was struggling with the reach, wasn't he? The guy that he was fighting was a big, long guy, and he was really catching him.
undefeated, about 50 amateur boxing fights, switch hitter, going from one side to the other. And that left, he was landing the left when he was orthodox, he was landing a long left jab, and then when he turned southpaw, he was coming in with a big strong left hook as well, and the left was getting him every time.
Yeah, that was it. And yeah, I was surprised. I was really surprised. But I mean, if he's got that boxing background and stuff, maybe he didn't see the choke coming. That's, to be fair, that's one of my favourite chokes. So as soon as the roaster jumped on that, I was shouting that it's there, and I didn't realise, I didn't know, I hadn't seen how he'd finish it.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just stuck it through. Mate, it was a great finisher. And I'll tell you what other one I was impressed with was the young girl. I can't remember her name, beginning with H, I think, with the armbar.
I've got Kay Hansen. For some reason, I didn't get to see those. That was the early prelims. They weren't available for me to watch on the perfectly legal system I was watching the fights on.
I've got BT Sport as part of my phone package or whatever it is. So
right.
I was watching it back. So there's certain fights that they put on and certain finishes. So I see the Arosa fight. I see her finish. A very nice armbar. Nice. She goes for a throw. The girl posts and she steps over for the armbar and then rolls and goes there. And apparently she got some credit from Ronda Rousey, give her some props as well. So
was this the girl that fucking where the guy had bet all that money on her and she bumped into him in the airport?
I think it was, yeah. So So that was good for her. 20 years old, just got the bonus as well. I think she got as well. So that was good news. That was a good finish, good fight. There was another one I can't remember. Oh, the heavyweight. The heavyweight with the knockout, and then I see an interview with him, and they're saying, "Oh, how much do you weigh? You're only 235. Why don't you cut down?" And he's like, "Mate, why the fuck would I cut another 30 pounds when I'm knocking guys out and I'm doing all right?" And to be fair, he looks like a big guy. There's no way I'd want him at light heavyweight. But yeah, there was some good finishes on there.
Yeah, that Tana Bosa, yeah.
Yes, yeah, big old mullet.
Yeah, Canadian dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so again, that was unfortunate. For some reason, I didn't get they weren't available for me to watch as an option. But yeah, so that was, all in all, it was a good card. I mean, the UFC are under a lot of pressure at the moment because they had to do with the ESPN deal, they had to deliver 40 cards in the year, and if they deliver the 40 cards, they get $750 million. And so obviously in reality they don't really give a fuck about the quality of the card. It's all about numbers. It's all about numbers for them now. So that some of the cards that they've been cranking out recently have been a little bit lackluster, but one not for a pay-per-view certainly delivered. So obviously we are looking forward now. In fact, there is one other thing. Are you a fan of the podcasts at all, like Rogan and stuff like that?
No, I catch little bits of them. I am a fan, and when I get a chance to listen to them, I do like to listen. It's just timing at the moment. You know what I mean? When I'm going training, I'm coming home, I'm looking after the little ones, I'm trying to sort stuff out, and then I go, oh shit, I should have listened to that. By the time I've put the little ones to bed and had my dinner and stuff, I go, oh shit, I best get some sleep. I've got training again. So it is something that I like to listen to. Sometimes I listen to it when we was in the gym and had a decent routine. I'd listen to someone I'm in between clients or whatever it is and stuff like that. But recently I've been really slack on it and haven't listened to anything really.
Yeah, me too. I mean, like I would normally listen in the car on the way to work. And so, it was like, if I'm like, I've got like an hour's commute, with traffic and all that. So for 2 hours a day, or like at least an hour and a half every day, I was in the car listening to stuff. So, that's, you're talking, between 7.5 to 10 hours a week. I can sit and listen to MMA related podcasts. But one of them, basically, the reason I ask is, do you ever listen to any stuff from Brendan Schaub at all?
Well, this year I had seen bits from Brendan Schaub because obviously it goes on from the Joe Rogan to then he was part of that when he went on to the thing. So I have not recently, but I had watched some of his stuff. Yeah. So I'm a big fan, and I mean, essentially what we do here at the Oil Check is a bit of a fucking poor man's Fighter and the Kid. So basically, right. So he's now working. Obviously, he's a stand-up comedian, but he's been very vocal. It's quite ironic, basically. What it is he's been very, very vocal on how the threat of Corona is basically being exaggerated, and it's not as bad as it should have been, and whatever. And the daft
daft cunt called Corona last week, so he's been fucking struck down. So yeah, so he's been for the last fucking month. He's been on his podcasts. I mean, I listen to the fighter and the kid, below the belt, all of that, and so he's talking about, oh, it's not as bad as everyone says. Now, what he's saying is correct. I truly believe that, if you look at the statistics, if you're under 50, you've got no underlying health conditions, you're fairly fit, the chances of something bad happening with the coronavirus are very, very slim indeed. So, and he got it, and basically he was a bit sick for 3 days, and it looks like he's better. So what he said is correct. However, he was, like I say, he was desperate to get back to work and start going to comedy, and he's been flying here and flying there and doing this and doing that, like laughing it all off. And yeah, Daft Cunt got corona last week. So yeah, a little bit of irony coming out of the States there. And then, so finally, as you pointed out at the beginning, before we got onto the record, my mistake. I was like, "Oh, you're looking forward to the show, the card this weekend," and you were like, "I think it's next weekend, mate." And I was like, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" So yeah, unfortunately, no fights this weekend, but that gives. The beauty about it is this will give the listeners of the Oil Check plenty of time to digest our opinions ahead of next weekend. So yeah, so big card next weekend. So first things first, Fight Island. I don't know about you, like when they started talking about Fight Island, my first thing, I don't know if you saw, I put it up on Facebook, the fucking picture of the dude off fucking Enter the Dragon. And I was like, Mr. Han from Enter the Dragon. And I was like, that's fucking Fight Island for you. So, but yeah, as it turns out, it's in Abu Dhabi. Not that fucking, not as much of an exciting proposition as it was first thought, but still. So yeah, so obviously, so some big stuff going down there over the next few weeks. They've got like 4 cards in 3 weeks or 4 cards in 2 weeks, something like that. So they've starting off. So if we start from the bottom and work up. So first fight in Fight Island, British guy on the card, young Davy Grant. So Davy Grant is fighting a guy called Martin Day. So Martin Day, he is he's had one fight in the UFC, coming on a split decision loss, which was on the Curtis Blades and Francis Ngannou card. So he's had one fight in the UFC, but it was in November 2018. So it's nearly about 18 months away. So I don't really know much about that Martin Day, but obviously Davy Grant, not only is he British, also from the northeast of England. So we're definitely backing Davy Grant. Do you know much about that? Either fighter, have you got any opinions on that?
Obviously, I know Davy Grant, not personally, but I've obviously watched him and seen him come through the ranks and stuff like that, and see him on the Ultimate Fighter and the bits. So obviously, we'll be supporting him. I think he's a good fighter. So I'll always be backing the British guy. But the other guy, don't really know anything about him. And like you say, if his one fight was 18 months ago, then who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? Unless you're very, very special like GSP, ring rust is a very, very real thing to a lot of people. I mean, as we mentioned before, you're coming back. You've had a few months off with the fucking corona, and you get back in the gym and you're not firing on all cylinders. Your timing's not there, your distance isn't there. You're doing the wrong thing at the wrong time, and your cardio's gone to shit. So obviously, even if he's been training every day for that 18 months, that active competition is still.
Yeah, it's not the same. It's not the same. And this was my biggest worry about Fight Island was, it's great putting shows on and you can be as safe as possible doing this, but how have these people been training for these weeks? You know what I mean? Have they got enough sparring in? Have they got enough work in and all that sort of thing? Because I was looking at my situation and was like, shit, if they put me in to fight however long, would I be able to get enough work in using just mats, not being able to use the cage, not doing this and doing that to be able to fight? Do you know what I mean? So hopefully everyone's been able to get the sessions in. But yeah, like you say, the ring rust will be a factor, I think, and even just getting the high level sparring and stuff, in whether he's been training with all these guys or he had 4 weeks off and he's been back training. How long did they take off? it'll be an interesting one.
So how much, just on a side note there, how much sparring do you do? I mean, obviously, you know, these days everyone's very, very acutely aware of, you know, the brain injury and, you know, CTE and stuff like that. And obviously it's not like the old days when, you know, basically people used to just like basically fight 5 days a week and beat the fucking living shit out of each other. So how sensible are you around your sparring?
Now, I'll spar pretty much every day. Every session we go to, we will spar, do some sort of sparring, whether it's just grappling, whether it's just stand up, whether it's MMA. A lot of the time it will be with the 16-ounce gloves on, the shin guards and everything. And we don't go crazy. You can't put that much toll on your body, do you know what I mean? And still perform and things like that. When fights are coming up and you're starting to progress, sometimes I'll put the smaller gloves on, like the 8-ounce and stuff like that, and go a little bit harder, more intense. But mate, we're not trying to kill each other in there. It's pointless having these gym wars and then going to try and fight. Do you know what I mean? I think we've got it just about right. There's a lot of sparring. I mean, I find a lot of my cardio comes from sparring, because you are doing exactly what you're going to be doing in the fight. You're scrambling, you're fighting, you're grappling, you're doing all of it. You can run 100 miles a day, whatever you want. It's not the same as fighting. Do you know what I mean? We do a lot of sparring, but we do it as sensible as we possibly can. You know what I mean? Until there's a fight coming up, I very rarely put on the smaller gloves, unless we're like grappling sparring, and then I'd put the 4-ounce on and we just grapple, just so I get used to grappling with the gloves on and stuff like that. So it's more for me. I wear the bigger gloves, stuff like that. But it's each to their own. I mean, there's some gyms that still spar fucking hard all the time. But I think you'll find a lot of them, you'll notice the ones who are getting injured a lot of the time and having to drop out of fights and things like that. And that will be part of it.
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, they say that, you know, you've only got so many knocks in you, haven't you? And if you're taking a lot of those knocks in the gym, then you're not leaving it. And, you know, you've got people like, you know, Cowboy, Robbie Lawler, people like that now are basically just doing no sparring. You know, they're like, I already know how to fight. You know, it's all about the cardio and the technique. So, you know, they're hitting mitts, you know, they're rolling, and, you know, they're doing a hell of a lot of cardio and strength and conditioning. But, you know, Robbie Lawler, bless him. I mean, if you remember back in the day when he you know, back in the early 2000s at Militich, he didn't sound like the sharpest tool in the box, did he? He was like, oh, my name's Robbie Lawler.
They are notorious for having gym wars as well, weren't they? Military, they went in and actually fought every day, as if it was a real fight. I mean, you can't. You're never going to last that long. Like you say, you can only take so much, and if you're taking all them in the gym, it's not going to translate into a long career, is it? So
you know, the rest of the bottom half of the cards is all fairly bog standard. No one really jumping out there. There's a female fight. Then a sort of a Russian dude, a couple of people who, you know, like Marcin Tybura's fighting. I've seen him fighting a couple of times. There's an undefeated guy, Roman Bogatov. But then Danny Henry's fighting. So again, another UK guy, actually Scottish, as far as I'm aware. He is, one of the higher level guys. And he was fighting in that AFC, did really, really well, and then came through to the UFC, got a couple of wins under his belt, and then just took his first loss. It was about just over a year ago now. So Danny Henry, though, is expecting big things from him. Do you know much about Danny Henry at all, or?
I was back a couple of years ago. I see him come into the UFC, and he was doing really well, wasn't he? And he seemed to just disappear for some reason. I don't know whether he'd got an injury after the loss or whatever it was, but I was expecting some big things from him. Watched him fight in the UFC, and then, like I say, I'd forgotten all about him really, because he hadn't fought for so long. Hopefully he's coming back and putting on a performance. But like you say, you don't know. I don't know why he was out for so long. It's a strange one with UFC. Sometimes you've got guys fighting 3, 4, 5 times a year, and then you've got some guys fighting once a year. I don't know whether as soon as you're out of the picture, you're forgotten about a lot of the time with the UFC guys, just because there's so many fights being put on now and so many guys coming through. you have to really be like a Conor McGregor or someone like that to make a big statement and talk a load in the first couple of fights for people to want to keep following you. And Danny Henry didn't seem to be that sort of guy. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like he was in there making a load of noise or anything. So yeah, it was almost like he was forgotten about for a year. But hopefully he's back and a good performance in.
Well, it looks like it's a fairly. It looks like he's on a fairly even. He's got a fairly even fight. So the guy he's fighting is that Makwan Amirkhani, who is actually he's one of John Kavanagh's lads. So he's from Finland. He's trained out of SGB Island. So Danny Henry's 12-3, and this Amirkhani is 15-4. So they've both got a fairly similar record, and they're both coming off that loss. So yeah, so I would expect, firework. They're both going to be, very, very determined to sort of try and set the record straight.
Yeah, that Amirkhani's decent. I think he always comes to fight as well. I think quite exciting fight. So it should be a good fight, that one. That should be a quite good, exciting fight.
So then on to the main card. First fight on the main card, you've got the dime piece of all dime pieces. You've got the lovely Paige Van Zandt is back in the cage. Now, I don't think she even said this herself in an article recently. She was like, my value doesn't change based upon whether I win or lose. And I'm like, yes, you are correct. And like, to be honest, I stopped following her on Instagram because I was just like having to look at pictures of her every day and know that you're not married to her. It's fucking depressing, to be honest with you. So I was like, yeah, fuck that. I'm not doing that no more. But the funny thing is that Austin Vandervoort, that guy she's married to, have you seen the way that everyone calls him Mr. Van Zandt?
Yeah. He's actually started going with it now as well, isn't he? He's just, I think he's gone, I'm going to have to accept it and just go with it because otherwise his kid's so fucking ruined.
He's quite funny. And he just had that jiu-jitsu match where he beat who did he beat? Some fucking absolute savage fucking jiu-jitsu. I'm not really a jiu-jitsu guy, but.
Yeah. What, on like a Polaris or something?
Yeah, something like that. And he was like, he went up against some guy that was expecting to tear him a new arsehole and he fucking tapped him out.
Oh, nice.
So,
yeah, because he's fine with Bellator, isn't he?
Yeah. So what weight is he in your weight or is he smaller?
No, he was welterweight, but I think he's actually moved up to middleweight at the moment. I think he's a middleweight at the moment. So he's a couple away from me, yeah. So.
All right. Well, so you can't get to beat up Paige Van Zandt's husband then?
Not yet. I mean, well, I don't know. With my coronavirus dad bod at the moment, I could quite possibly be fighting middleweight. You never know. But yeah, you know what? From what I've heard from her as well, I've got a feeling that she might be going to Bellator or someone soon because she was saying how she makes more money from posts on Instagram than she does fighting. All her advertisements and stuff makes her more money. The fighting doesn't make her anything, and this and that. And like you say, her stock doesn't go up or down whether she wins or loses. It's what she looks like and what she does. There's every possibility she makes more money going to Bellator with her endorsements and all that sort of thing than she would with Reebok and UFC.
Well, that's it. So she was on that Dancing with the Stars in America, and she said that she made more money on Dancing with the Stars than she has done in her entire fighting career.
Even with her win bonuses, she said, didn't she? Which is crazy. Yeah, which is crazy. So there's every possibility. I think this may even be her last fight on her contract or something as well. So there's every possibility. I think she'll be looking at it.
Well, that was what she was talking about. So she's talking about her value, and she's going to test her value in the open market. And yeah, so basically this is the last fight on a UFC contract. So I definitely, if the UFC aren't going to sign her back, she'll definitely get picked up elsewhere. But like you say, she can get 50 grand just for fucking taking a picture with with a bottle of drink like that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? She fucking put that out on Instagram. She'll get 50 grand for that shit, even more probably. So
fighting on Bellator, she can have the drink name across her top or on her bottoms, and she can have 10 of them on there. She's making shitloads of money compared to what she would with the Reebok deal. So there's every possibility she'll make a lot more going over to someone like Bellator.
So then we've got Volkan Ozdemir versus Jiri Prochazka. So I don't really know much about that Jiri Prochazka, but that Volkan Ozdemir is a dangerous man. Do you know much about this Prochazka?
Not really anything. No, not at all. Obviously, Ozdemir's a decent prospect and stuff like that. He's been around, got some good wins and stuff. So I mean, they must rate the guy if they're putting him up against him for a fight. But yeah, no, I don't really know that much about him.
Well, I'm just having a quick look here. So he's from the Czech Republic, and it's his first UFC fight. But he's been fighting in Ryzen for 5 years. So look here. So he's fought CB Dollaway, Fabio Maldonado, King Mo. He's fought some pretty tasty names over in Ryzen. But we all know that a lot of these occasions where you get guys coming over who they've done really, really well in other promotions, they tend to sometimes they can come unstuck when they're in the UFC. And obviously, Ozdemir, he's been in there with a who's who of light heavyweights. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're going to come unstuck, it's going to be someone like Ozdemir that you come up and stuck against, wouldn't it, as well? So I don't know, mate. You beat him, though. You're jumping right ahead of the queue, aren't you? You're going right up there at the top of the division straight away. So maybe it's a good fight for him.
Even though he lost 3 fights in a row, Ozdemir, he beat Jimmy Manuel, which is, obviously, for us is a shame, but, it proves how good he is. But then he took 3 losses in a row. But the 3 losses was DC, Anthony Smith, and Dominic Reyes. And so he took that Dominic Reyes to a split decision. And then he then did to John Jones. So, there's no doubt about it that Ozdemir is, certainly, very, very high level, in the world. And for them to, do you think that maybe they're chucking that guy in against, they're chucking this Prochazka in against Ozdemir to be like, oh, you think you're good in Ryzen? Fuck up.
You know what? I think it's probably a win-win for the UFC because they chuck him in against someone like Ozdemir. It either gets Ozdemir back on track and gets his win streak going, or they've got this new up-and-comer who's the next big thing and he's pushing for a title shot. You know what I mean? So it's almost like a win-win. You chuck him in against some of the lower tier guys and he slowly builds up. It's a bit of a slow process, or he comes unstuck against a nobody. So yeah, you're putting him in there. I think it's a win-win for the UFC, really. Like I say, he's either right up there or Ozdemir's back on track and he's pushing again for the higher level fights.
Well, yeah, I mean, Ozdemir is currently ranked at number 7. So, the guy's coming in at his first fight and they're giving him the 7th in the world. So they'll be like, this is definitely a sink or swim situation. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes down. But, he's very experienced, 26 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, so he's got 30 fights under his belt. I'm sure he, that rising, he's used to the bright lights and the big show. So we'll see how he handles someone of Ozdemir's level. And then one of my favourites is back, Rose Namajunas, Thug Rose, back versus Jessica Andrade. Now, obviously, Thug Rose is 8-4. Jessica Andrade is 20-7. So she's got the higher level of experience. But obviously, Rose is the former champion. Any opinions on that one?
Andrade beat Rose for the title, didn't she?
Hold on. That was right. Yeah. So she took the title off and she lost, didn't she?
And he lost it in the next fight. Yeah, but I think Rose, man, I love the way Rose fights and stuff like that, but I think she struggles mentally a little bit. And from what I've read, she's been struggling mentally with like the coronavirus, and she's had some bad news, and people have had it, and this and that. So coming in off of all of that, where she's maybe mentally not prepared, and she's fighting a girl who's already beat her, that's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a tough fight, but if anyone can do it, it's someone like her. I think she's got all the skill in the world to be able to beat her. But yeah, that's going to be a tough one for her.
Yeah, so she beat Rose with a slam, and that was just over a year ago. Just over a year ago, like 14 months ago, and then she lost to Weili Zhang, and obviously Weili Zhang's the current champion now. And Jessica Andrade, You know, she's got, again, you know, a bit of a who's who on her record. You know, beat Karolina Kowalski. I'm terrible at those fucking Eastern European names. Tisha Torres, Claudia Gadeja. She's fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk, beat Angela Hill, beat Jojo Calderwood, beat Jessica. You know, it's like there's a murderer's row on her record there. So, like I say, it'll be interesting to see how Rose comes back. And what you're saying is correct. Yeah, by all accounts, apparently she's had a couple of relatives unfortunately pass away due to the coronavirus. And I think at one point, she was walking away from it, you know, after that, you know, after she lost the title, like you say, mentally, I think she was halfway out the door. And apparently all of these, you know, from what I understand is all of these things, she's telling people that this has renewed her vigor and you know, she's looking forward to getting back in. So, you know, we shall see how it goes down.
Yeah, hopefully then it'll be a good one. Yeah, hopefully she's back to the way she was when she beat young Jędrzejczyk and stuff like that, and that'll be a great fight. Yeah.
And then obviously if she does beat Jessica Andrade, then obviously what that's going to do is that's just going to open up the door for a title shot against that Weili Zhang.
It's got to, yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. So then 3 big title fights on the card. It is, like I say, that, you know, they're pulling out all the stops here with the first pay-per-view on Fight Island. So as we've already mentioned, you mentioned Jose Aldo earlier. Even though he's coming off a loss, a lot of people, myself included, I believe he won that last fight. And I tell you what, I was super impressed in the shape that he came in, because, you know, when you're getting older, there's not many people can get older and then come down a weight division. And, I mean, ill.
Yeah. You know what? It's weird. I was reading something yesterday, the day before, and he was saying he's finding the cut down to bantam easier than he used to find the cut to featherweight. Whether he's got his diet on point or what it is, maybe he's feeling healthier, staying around that lower weight and not trying to bulk up too much. I don't know what it is, but he's saying that he's feeling better going to bantamweight than he was at featherweight. So
well, what I heard is previously he never had a nutritionist. He was like, his diet was just, and obviously, you know, I'm sure that, you know, the temptation of those Brazilian barbecues. Fuck, you know, I mean, gee, I don't know if you've ever been to one of them things where they bring the unlimited meat round, but fuck, man, I'm a big fan of Brazilian food, big fan. So yeah, I can imagine. But yeah, so apparently when he was making the cut down, it was the first time he'd ever brought in a nutritionist. But I mean, everyone, like, you know, in the 2 weeks running up to that fight, everyone was fucking showing pictures of him in the gym, and he was looking fucking gaunt and ghost-like and fucking all white lips and fucking like, "Rah!" And everyone was like, he's fucking dead. But I swear to God, when he walked in that cage, he was fucking ripped. So he looked like he was going to burst, mate. You know what I mean? He was fucking savagery.
He got everything right, hasn't he? He got the cut right, obviously. And then it's the rehydration as well. You get that right, and you can feel so much like different if you get it wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's a big thing. I think the weight cutting and stuff is an art on its own. Do you know what I mean? It's part. If you've got someone who can get you through these weight cuts. I mean, from when I started, it's changed so much in the 10 years or whatever it is I've been doing it. It's changed so much. Everyone's still slowly getting these new things and finding better ways of cutting the weight and doing this and doing that. On rehydrating afterwards and stuff. So, I mean, if he gets that right, the guy's a monster, isn't he? He's always been an exciting fighter. He's always been right up there. And like you say, I'm not sure whether he lost that last fight or not. It was a tight one, and I like Morose as well. I like Marlon Morose. So it was a good fight. But yeah, trouble is, I do really like that Peter Yan. Yeah.
So I mean, you know, look, it's a bit of a fucked up division because obviously, you know, Triple C has decided to vacate. So yeah, you've got Marlon Moraes at number 1, Aljamain Sterling at number 2. Obviously Aljamain Sterling just fought recently. Then you got Peter Yan at number 3. Cody Garbrandt at number 4. Obviously Cody very impressive in his comeback. And then Corey Sanderhagen at number 5, and Jose Aldo at number 6. So basically, you've got number 6 fighting number 3 for a title, which is a bit of an unusual situation, but you know, I don't think anybody would argue that Jose Aldo doesn't deserve a title shot, even though he is coming off a couple of losses. Because, like I say, I personally think he won that fight against Marias, and Marias is number 1. And obviously, Peter Yan's the only other sort of guy who hasn't fought recently, who is fit and available to fight for the title. That has been recently vacated. So, yeah, I'm personally very much looking forward to seeing this fight. So, I think it would be. I don't know. I think it would be a perfect sort of fairy tale story if Aldo won. And I definitely, you know, after seeing him fight against Marlon Moraes, I definitely think he's got it in him. So for that reason and that reason alone, I would probably stick my money onto Jose Aldo. Obviously, caveat being, don't follow me. I don't know shit. And every time I pick a fighter, generally they tend to fucking lose. But so what's your thoughts on who's going to win that one?
To be honest, I think I'd have to go against you. I think after seeing the way that Yan dealt with Faber, mate, the guy's got it all. I think he's got the power in his hands. He's got the wrestling. He's got everything. I followed him for a while because he fought Ed Arthur. I remember watching him fight Ed Arthur years and years ago, and Ed obviously was with part of Dennis and Sutherland, who I've obviously trained with and come through. So it was something that I'd watch, and I see him beat Ed Arthur, and it's like, oh shit, this guy looks good. So when he finally got signed for the UFC, I took some interest in watching Peter Yan, and mate, he looks like he's got everything. To me, he looks like he's got everything. But how can you ever write off Aldo? The guy's a legend. He's been around. He's done it. And mate, even if you look at his losses, he's only ever been against the top guys that he's lost against. You know what I mean? It's a tough one, but if I was a betting man, I'd have to put my money on Yan. But like you say, don't ever follow me on betting and stuff. I'm not a betting man, and I'm wrong a lot of the time. So
it's going to be a fucking draw now.
Yes, yeah, that's it, yeah. And the title will still be vacant. And fucking Triple C will come back and take it.
There you go. Look at that. So yeah, I mean, Peter Yan, he's 14-1. His only loss was against that Magomedov, who's now in the UFC. And so he fought a lot on that ACB. He's fought some, like you say, Ed Arthur, British, solid British guy, and he fought some Russian killers on there. And again, that Magomedov, who he lost to, he then fought him again and won. So he lost, and it was only a split decision loss, and then he beat him in unanimous decision. So the only loss he's had, he's actually avenged. So technically you could consider him to be undefeated now, and he's out there. He's training at Tiger Muay Thai. So if you follow him on social media, and basically there's so in the boxing gym I train in, there's also Fire Gym, which is the local Muay Thai gym, and they have got a good affiliation with Tiger Muay Thai. They have like gym trips out there every year, and there's like they've like I don't know if you ever heard of Johnny Betts, who fights out at Tiger Muay Thai. He's not an MMA guy, he's just a Muay Thai guy. He was over in the UK, and obviously I was down the gym at the same time training with him and stuff like that. Not training with him, but training in the same building as him at the same time. And they've had like Dave LeDuc down doing seminars, the Lethway guy. So they've got a good strong link with Tiger Muay Thai. So obviously Liam, the guy that runs it, who's a good mate of mine, he's 100% behind Peter Yan. And look, I genuinely think it could go either way, but. Just based upon the fact that based upon his last fight, based upon how good he looked in his last fight, and like I say, I am one for the fairy tale ending. So I think if he comes back and he wins a title in a different weight division, it's going to be something special. So I'm definitely backing Aldo for that one. But like you say, let's see what happens. It's by no means a foregone conclusion. So, and then we've got the rematch. We got the rematch, Volkanovski versus Holloway. I mean, you know, what we were talking about before with regards to sparring and also regards to getting bangs in the head and stuff like that. I was actually having a look at Max Holloway's record. Now, basically, Max Holloway, even he's either a lot of his fights have gone to decisions, or the stoppages have been in the final round of the fight. So if it's a 3-round fight, he's won the fight in 4 minutes of the 3rd round. So he's got a lot of fucking miles on the clock. Yeah. And if we have a look, so, you know, going back to, let's say, so 2015, so in the last 5 years, he fought Jeremy Stevens, 3-round decision. Fought Ricardo Lamas, 3-round decision. Fought Anthony Pettis, won the fight with 10 seconds to go in the fight. Then fought Aldo twice, won the fight with fucking 40 seconds to go and 10 seconds to go. Again, 3-round fights. He's then beat Ortega 4 rounds, stopped. Then lost to Poirier, 5-round decision. Beat Frankie Edgar, 5-round decision. Lost to Volkanovski, 5-round decision. You know, so that's like, you know, 15, fucking 20. You know, he's you know, in the last 5 fucking years, he's gone like 35 fucking rounds. You know what I mean? And that's some big mileage on the clock.
And the way he fights, he does take shots. I mean, just remembering back to like the Lamas fight, where the last 10 seconds he pointed at the ground and just standing there and trading and stuff like that. Let's just trade. It's like you say, at one time, after he'd beaten Aldo and stuff, I couldn't really see Holloway losing. He looked so good, but maybe he's hit that wall. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think Volkanovski would beat him. I thought, and to be fair, I thought he'd beat Poirier as well when he stepped up to lightweight. I thought he'd beat Poirier, and maybe he's just hit that wall. Maybe he's just taken a little bit too much damage. You never know. He might have got to the point where he's on the downside. He's been fighting. I think he started when he was like 16 or something as well. So even though he's been fighting pro for so many years, he's taken a lot of toll on his body. So people go, oh yeah, he's got loads of years left, and maybe he hasn't. Maybe he'd already peaked. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. On Sherdog here, it says he's 28. He took his first pro MMA fight in 2010, so he's been fighting pro since he was 18. But I think I remember watching an interview with him when he fucking was saying that he started kickboxing when he was like 16, 17, and he was lying about his age to get pro kickboxing fights. Like that. Yeah. But I mean, last year alone. So from April last year, so April 2019, July 2019, and December 2019. So in 9 months last year, he did 15 rounds with Poirier, Edgar, and Volkanovski, and obviously lost against Poirier and lost against Volkanovski. You know, again, you know, would you have been complaining if they'd have gone the other way? Possibly not. But that's still, that's 15 fucking rounds against, you know, some of the fucking toughest motherfuckers in that division. And you know, do you think that's going to take its toll, or do you think maybe now having, you know, he's had 7 months off? Do you think that might have rejuvenated him at all?
There is every chance. And like I say, I was so impressed with how he was coming on and how good he was. I couldn't see him losing up until he fought Poirier. Losing. Hopefully he's like you say, rejuvenated, come back and he'll be the way he was. I'd like to see him back up there. Because, mate, watching him against, like, Ortega and stuff, everyone's calling Ortega a killer. Some of them performances were phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'd really like to see him back to the way he was. You just don't know. You just don't know these days. With the sport progressing the way it is and everyone being the athletes that they are now, it's so hard, man. There's such a small window of opportunity that you have to take. I really hope he does it. But I mean, the guys from that City Kickboxing are no mugs, are they? As you can see with Hooker at the weekend, Adesanya, Volkanovski. They've got the champions there. They're obviously doing the right things and they're training right and they're doing stuff. So it's another.
Right
now. It's another. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're doing really well.
So, you know, again, I'm a big Holloway fan, and like you say, you know, there was one point, you know, when he beat Brian Ortega, you know, Brian Ortega was tearing through everyone, he was undefeated, and Max Holloway fucked him up. You know what I mean? It wasn't even a close fight. He smashed the living shit out of him, and you know, after he beat Ortega, that was when everyone was like, fuck, man, you know, that's like, and then he just seemed to take a bit of a nosedive. So, you know, I would like to think maybe, you know, if he comes back, you know, beats Volkanovski, wins his title back, and then it'll set them both up for a rubber match. And then you know, they can both make themselves a nice few quid out of it in the future, because he's such a nice guy as well. I like to follow him on Instagram. He's a good dad. He's always doing things with his kids and that. And he just, you know, he comes across as such a nice bloke. So, you know, I'd really like to see, you know, I've got nothing against Volkanovski. I think he's brilliant, but I'm a big Holloway fan. And just for the pure, you know, for the perspective of the fans, I'd like to see Holloway win and then set up that rubber match in the future.
Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. Definitely. Big Holloway fan as well. So definitely like to see him win that.
And then finally, we've got the big main event, the welterweight title, Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. So obviously, Usman is the current champion. He is, you know, without a doubt, an absolute savage. You know what he did to Tyron Woodley. You know, the thing about it is there's still this big question mark over. You know, Tyron Woodley didn't look like the same Woodley that he won in the title, and even if you look at Woodley's last fight, he looked fucking terrible. So you know, Woodley 1 foot out the door anyway, which is that question mark there. But then, you know, love him or hate him, he fucking destroyed Colby Covington, and you know, Colby Covington can fucking fight his arse off. You know what I mean? He sets the pace. He's got, you know, he covers every base. And so, you know, without a doubt, Kamaru Usman is a very, very talented and high-level guy. You know, he's the current champion. But by all accounts, bit like suffers like me and him are very similar, dodgy knees. So do you think that might play into it? You know, obviously Gilbert Burns is, you know, younger, fit, you know, less injuries, but... And, you know, beat Woodley to get his thing, you know, and he's got some names on his record. Beat Damian Maia, beat Gunnar Nelson. You know, anybody that can fucking take a decision against Gunnar Nelson is a very, very, very scary prospect. And then same with Damian Maia as well. You know, Gunnar Nelson and Damian Maia are the two high-level jiu-jitsu guys in the welterweight division.
The thing is, the thing that I take from this, because they're teammates, aren't they? Burns and Usman were teammates with Henry Hoof. And obviously Hoof stepped aside and said, look, I'm not going to corner either, blah, blah, blah. And Usman, I've seen recently, he's overtraining with Gaethje. I
was just going to say, he's gone to Trevor Whitman.
Yeah, which, I mean, it's not going to hinder you at all going to Trevor Whitman. Trevor Whitman's a genius, you know what I mean? So, but what you've got to weigh up is the being able to add something from Trevor Whitman going to be good for you, or is it going to be Burns training with everyone that he knows and how he's used to being going to be better for him? I mean, they must have had wars in the gym together. I mean, they've always trained together. I think Burns possibly was like the jiu-jitsu coach as well at some point. So it's going to be a real tough one. I think Burns' ground game was always going to be better than Usman, but then Usman's wrestling is so good, maybe he stops him taking him down, which then comes down to the striking. And I mean, both working with Henry Hoof, I think Burns' striking's come on leaps and bounds the last few years. I remember watching him as a lightweight, and he didn't really have much striking. It was all jiu-jitsu, you know what I mean? But he looks like a great striker now. And I mean, you work with Henry Hoof, you're gonna pick up a thing or two, aren't you? So I think it's such a tough one. I mean, from the outside, if they weren't teammates, I probably would have gone with Usman, just because I think he's the bigger, stronger guy. But it's such a tough one, And like you say, when you see Burns has beaten people like Maya and kind of Nelson and stuff like that, and he handled Woodley as well. I mean, I don't know whether Woodley is the same as the Woodley that turned up. He's always been so hit and miss. The Woodley that turned up and flattened Robbie Lawler, which was disappointing to me because Lawler's been one of my favourite fighters since I was young. But yeah, he weren't the same guy against Usman. He weren't the same guy against Burns. So can you read too much into that? I don't know. If I had to put money on it, oh man, I'd possibly go with Burns just because he's on the roll at the moment. He's pushing for it. He's hungry for the title. He hasn't upped and left the gym. He stayed where he's come. You know what I mean? But as you say, mate, I could be completely wrong. And Usman's gone to Trevor Whitman, and he's just got progressed and got this new stuff, and he'll run through it. You never know. But yeah, if I had to put money on it, I'd possibly say Burns. But maybe that's because I'm a bit of a fantasist, and I'd like to see Burns do well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I like
it's fucking hard, man, because somebody like they'll know how, like, because they'll have sparred fucking hundreds of rounds together, so they'll know each other inside out, and they'll know what the strong points and weak points are. And I think what you're saying might be correct. You know, if it comes down to jiu-jitsu, Burns will have the advantage. Wrestling, Usman will have the advantage. You know, they've both been Henry Hoof, but now Usman's gone over to Trevor Whitman. You know, so it's fucking hell, man. It is. It's going to be a tough call. But, you know, if say, for example, obviously Usman is the title holder, and so Burns might be doing it just for the sake of getting a title shot, or he might be doing it because he reckons he can, you know, based upon their previous experience, he reckons he can fuck him up.
There is every possibility. I mean, looking at it, he's always going to try and get that title, isn't he? I think he's pushing for the title shot, but in his mind, he must believe that he can beat him. Do you know what I mean? I think he's got to be going in there going, I've beat him. I outdo him on the ground. I outdo him in sparring. I've been beating him. I've been doing this. I'm doing that. But the thing that I always take away from that is sparring with your friends and sparring with your teammates. That's not fighting, man. That's not the same as wanting to kill the guy and taking their head off. There is a big difference in that. And just because someone gets the better of you in the sparring and stuff doesn't mean that they'll win the fight. Do you know what I mean? There's not every time that you're going to win that fight. To be fair, I'm a little bit disappointed that he was willing to take the fight against his teammate. I mean, I know everyone's each to their own and stuff like that, and yeah, he wants to progress his career and stuff. If it was me, I wouldn't be fighting one of my guys. Do you know what I mean? If Sam had a title and it was my chance, my opportunity to fight for a title or fight the next guy, I'd fight the next guy. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't fight the guy that I've come up and trained with, but that's me personally. Do you know what I mean? Each to their own. Like I say, I try and follow a lot of the guys from Henry Hoof. They were obviously like Black Zillions, weren't they, and stuff like that, because Linton Vassell trains over there, and Linton's a friend. I've trained with Linton and stuff when he was over here. I speak to him now and again. Obviously, signed to Bellator as well.
Also, one of the fucking nicest guys you've ever met.
Exactly. Yeah, such a nice guy. Message him every now and again, but obviously he's part of that as well. So I'm always following them guys and all of his team and everyone who's in there and stuff like that. Obviously, they've got guys like Michael Chandler in there who I'm going to be keeping an eye on. He's in my division. He's one of the top guys in the organisation that I fight for. So I'm always watching them guys. So yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that they decided to fight, but I mean, it makes for a great fight, doesn't it? There's a storyline there. Who knows who gets the best in the training, and whether that's going to be how it turns out in the fight. I don't know. It makes for a great fight.
Well, you know, I think what you've said is, you know, I'm a fairly similar opinion. I think, you know, I am a big fan of Usman, but you know, from the pure, you know, sort of underdog romance story, I'd probably like to see Burns come through and do it. But we'll see, you know, we'll see what Trevor Whitman's done to Usman's hands. But it's, you know, the fact is though, you know, every single fight we've talked about, you know, we've sort of we're both like, so it's one of those cards, man. You got to watch it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm definitely going to be glued to it when it it happens next week.
Yes, yeah, 100%. And that's the good thing about it. I love fights like that where you just don't know. Do you know what I mean? You don't know who's going to win it. It's not as exciting when you go, well, this guy's definitely going to win. All right, there's always going to be shocks, but when you're confident in the guy winning, it's not as exciting when you go, fuck, them two are top level. And when you get to the top of the division like that, anyone can beat anyone. I mean, going back to the Aldo and Peter Yan, you've got who's the guy who should have been fighting as well, who just fought Funkmaster.
Aljamain Sterling.
Yes. I honestly thought it would have been him against Peter Yan for the title because they're all up there and they could all easily be fighting for that title. Do you know what I mean? So it's exciting when you get a division that's got so many people, like the lightweight division, you've got so many people that could fight for that title. There's a load of people who could be the champion. It's not one person's run away with it and been like light heavyweight. I know obviously Cormier's been in and had the title in the light heavyweight, but I think that maybe that's more due for the fact that Jones has fucked himself up doing what he done. But yeah, you haven't had this one guy run away with it and be beating everyone. It will be nice. It's a good one to have. So it's always nice to have cards where it could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were saying that they're sort of considering Aljamain Sterling the people's champ at the moment. So, you know, definitely, if he hadn't have fought like a couple of weeks ago, it would have been his, you know, he had that fight lined up and then the title was relinquished and it's sort of, if he did, you know, it would have, you know, he did the right thing and, you know, he did the gentlemanly thing and followed through on what he said he was going to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like him. I follow him as well and things like that. So, yeah, he seems like a decent guy. And like you say, he followed through and took the fight and he's got to be next in line, I would have thought.
Absolutely. Guaranteed, yeah. So I would definitely assume that, you know, Aljamain Sterling's going to get to fight the winner of Aldo and Peter Yan. So yeah, but right, real exciting cards. So you know they like I say, the UFC, they are pumping out the cards to try and fulfill their obligation to ESPN. But you know, every now and again they do, you know, pull it out the bag, and it certainly looks like this is going to be one of them. So so that's more or less it for the MMA side of things. Now, obviously, just from your perspective, have you been given any indication at all about when you might next be able to put a pair of gloves on?
Not really. I mean, when we first started going into lockdown, I was in contact with Jude and stuff like that, and he'd been messaging. And then the last time I spoke to him, he said Bellator were looking at putting on shows in America, July sort of time. And they were saying, and I see Scott Coker saying that they'd be doing a couple behind closed doors and trying to put them on in America. Now, obviously, they're not going to be flying people over from the UK to fight in America when they're putting it on behind closed doors. It's not, there's not good business sense in that. So if they're going to be starting in July, August time, I've got a feeling we may get one or two cards here before the end of the year, but I haven't heard anything. So I'd be guessing. I mean, they've still got the card booked for Ireland in October, and apparently there's one, I think, booked in Milan for October or something like that. So every possibility they'll be the first European ones back. If I can get on one of them, mate, I'll jump at the chance. When it first happened, they were talking about just rebooking the full card again as soon as we're back in and doing the same card as what was booked for London. But who knows? I don't know whether they'll be able to get the venues. Everyone's going to be wanting to put on concerts and fight shows and all sorts. So it's going to be a bit of a tough situation. So at the moment, I'm just playing it by ear and just waiting for the call and see what happens.
Well, hopefully, because obviously if they're going to do it and they're going to do it maybe without, they can actually do it and possibly afford to do it without an audience. So where, you know, your likes of your concerts and stuff, they can't really do that. They're doing it for the audience. So, you know, you might find it lucky, but, you know, we'll see. So obviously, you know, as soon as we find out what your next fight is, obviously we'll start pimping it out on all social media. Do you want to tell our viewers and listeners, give them all of your social media handles, and we'll see if we can get you at least one extra follower?
Yeah, if you could, yeah. I am on Instagram is Leary917. I'm on Facebook. I've got an athlete page on Facebook as well, but if I'm on Facebook, Charlie Leary, the athlete page I think is just Charlie Leary as well. But I'm also on Twitter I use that more of the news. I'm very rarely posting on Twitter, but I am on Twitter. I like getting the news from Twitter, but I don't really post much on there. And I think my thing is Leary MMA or something like that. I don't even know it. That's how bad I am on Twitter.
I'll find it for you. I'll find it. And what I'll do is I'll have it all coming up along the bottom of the screen, and I'll stick it on the links on the YouTube page and all of that as well.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Like I say, I reckon we'll get you at least one extra follower. So you know you can thank us later on when you're making 20 grand for an Instagram post. You can chuck us our 10%. So look, just before we go then, so as always, just to reiterate, we are sponsored by Fight Central. So go to their website, fight-central.co.uk, use the discount code TheOilCheck, and that'll get you 10% off boxing gloves, MMA gloves, you know, all kinds of fight apparel and equipment, you know, for all all contact sports. So like I say, that's www.fight-central.co.uk. And remember, if you've got anything to say to the Oil Check, you can contact us by telephone or text on 07510 954 793. You can email us on theoilcheck@hotmail.com and all forms of social media at the Oil Check. So yeah, so listen, it's been a pleasure. We've actually, you know, we did plan for an hour. We've nearly been 2 hours. So look, yeah, it's fucking flown in, man. Time flies when you're fucking, you know, time flies when you're chatting shit about fucking people punching each other in the mouth, man. It just generally does, man. So listen, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. You know, obviously we've known each other for a while, but I feel like I know you a little bit more now. So, you know, congratulations on the new family. And like I say, and I hope to see you back in the cage very, very soon.
Man, thank you, Matt. I really appreciate it. Good to speak to you.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.